fellow gunners, Tim here. I'm at the reloading bench. I'm going to attempt to make a reloading video in detail. With YouTube's policies nowadays, this is unpopular, but I'm not manufacturing ammunition. Number one, to manufacture ammunition, it has to be a large-scale process. That's not happening here. Can't afford that. And I'm not selling ammunition. This is for my own use. Seems like there was something I was wanting to add to that. Now, if I get back to it. Anyway, so this is my attempt to show new reloaders how to reload or hand load. The first thing you're going to need is a die set. And it probably wouldn't help to have a camera that would stay focused. But anyway, and within this die set, you have a sizing die. You have an expanding die. You have a seating die. You also have to have a shell holder. Okay. Now with that said, you need casings. You need powder. You need primers. You need bullets. All right. Let's see. Now for the equipment other than your die set, you will need a press. You will need a scale. Having a pair of calipers, whether they're digital or dial, is useful. A lot of people use micrometers. I'm just not got that much money to buy micrometers. They're pretty expensive. But anyway, calipers will get you in the ballpark where you need to be. All right. If I've missed anything for the list of things you need, I'll get back. But I think I've covered it all. All right, guys. I failed to mention that we will be loading a 44 Magnum cartridge. I have 2 empty casings, so I hope this goes well enough for you guys to know what we're doing and how to do it, because it won't take but 1 or 2 takes and it's done. All right, guys. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little shell holder, and these are, what am I wanting to say? They will fit any press, but the numbers that are on the shell holder, there's numbers on here, and this is a Lee, will identify which caliber or casing that it is used for. We're going to snap that into our press. That's the first thing we're going to do. And then, like I said, this is a Lee die set. And this is your sizer die. It has a decapper. Now this will push out your primer when you push in your casing. And we're going to screw that in. Now this is already set. But what you want to do to set your die, your seating die, to get, and this is full length sizing, is you want to screw this die set down to where it touches see if I can get that in a little tighter. All right. I can't zoom in The camera won't let me. But anyway, you want the bottom of the sizing die to touch, totally kiss your shell holder. And when you do that, it is adjusted. All right. Now, I don't remember cleaning these cases. You can. That is optional. Because it's a good thing to get all the grit off of it and dirt in and out of it, because it's rough on your die. Especially if it's sand or some kind of really abrasive. And what you want to do is you want to put your casing in your shell holder and bring it up. Now, depending on the size of the cylinder, how much it has expanded, will have pressure pushing this up or not. If this was a full magnum load, it will expand all the way out into your cylinder, and it'll be a little bit bigger to push in your sizing die. Now, if this is a target load, where it's a mild load and hasn't fully, I guess the word is obturate into your cylinder, then it will not be as hard to push down. Now, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is pretty good a magnum here. And your primer falls out to the floor because I forgot to put my primer catcher on. Actually don't need it. I'm only using 2 casings, and that's what your dispense primer looks like. And you just discard it right in the trash can. Or if you're collecting them, put them in a jar, collect them. I don't know why you would, other than you might use them for something later. And then you pull your sized casing down. Now this is sized down to what is known as Sammy specs. And your primer hole is exposed, no more primer. Now, this is you can do this or you don't have to, but a lot of people like to clean out the primer pocket. Now, this is just a primer pocket scraper, cleaner, or whatever. They make brushes. They make devices to even dig into and uniform your primer pocket. I have never seen the need in that in a pistol. Then you set that to the side and size another one. And this time I cut my primer. Okay, now that's what there is to that step. Now, we want to expand our casing mouth to accept a bullet. So now we're going to use our expanding die. Now this is a Lee, like I said earlier, and it is already adjusted, but I'm going to explain how to adjust it. Now these don't have an adjust on top like some of the newer ones do, or your RCBS older ones. This one here just goes by how far you screw in your die body. Okay. Now, I'm not going to screw it in all the way because I don't know where it is. And here's another thing. All casings are different lengths unless you have trimmed them to be uniform one length. A lot of guys don't trim their their casings. But if you want to, and it's actually, I'm going to go out on a limb because I'm sure I'm going to get persecuted for this, but here's a 44 trim gauge for the Lee trimmer. Focus on that. Yeah, no, it ain't going to focus, is it? Yeah, well, anyway. That way, they're all trimmed to a certain length, and when you go to crimp them, you have a more uniform crimp, if that's what you're looking for. Now, a lot of guys go, you know, you're not precision shooting with a pistol and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you, it helps in the form of uniformed ignition. If that's what you're looking for, there you go. All right, so I've got my die just above where I've got it set to see if it's going to be too much expansion, and it's not. It didn't even. So you screw it down. I'm going to go ahead and bottom this out. The way I can show you, I see you can feel some resistance, and when you pull it out, there's a nice little bell, and of course I've kicked off the automatic. Focus. But anyway, it has belled the mouth of the casing to where when you take your bullet and you put it in there, the base of the bullet goes in easily. That's when you know you've done it. Now, if you were to overdo it, the bell would be too much and there'd be too much brass sticking out. And then when you go to size it, it may not fit in your sizing die. And that could be a problem. All right, so there's one expanded. And two expanded. All right. Now, let's go into a priming system. We need to prime our casings. All right, this is part of the equipment I forgot to mention. Now, I will be using an RCBS hand primer because that's what I like and that's what I'm used to. And with the RCBS hand primer, they have these little shell holder plastic pieces. The black one is for a large pistol or large primer. This shell holder's for a different thing. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and pull my shell holder out of my press that we've been using. And I want to set it with the open end of the shell holder toward the big end of this little plastic shell holder, which slides in. Do this without flipping it into the floor like it did last time. My train got a big kick out of that. But anyway, you push it in to where it goes in all the way. Then you take your retainer clip or whatever you want to call it. And it has a set screw on the end, which holds that. And you want to make sure when you depress this lever to do this, you don't let go, because there's a knuckle up in here, and man, it really makes it hard to work with. Okay, and then you got your primer ram. Now there's a flat side to your primer ram, and there's a round side to your primer ram. Put the round side down, that way it works in that knuckle good, back and forth. All right. And with that, we have our primer keeper. Little doohickey majigger. And I'm only needing 2 primers. So I'm going to put my finger here where it holds all the primers but 2. I'm going to flip them into my little tray. And they're already standing up. So I don't have to roll that back and forth for them to stand up. You want the anvil side of your primer. And now I'm going to have to explain that. Okay. This is the bottom of the primer. It's the cap. And on the other side, which is the upside, is the anvil. You can see 3 little holes in there. That's the anvil. That goes into your casing. You want, there's a hole in the back of this little plastic thing that holds your shell holder. And there's a little spout, I would call it. You push that into. And then you roll the primers until they go down into your, underneath your shell holder on top of your ram. Then you take your casings, which have already been deprimed, put it in your shell holder, and work your lever until it's set. And you can fill its seat. You can also fill the primer with your finger. Make sure that it's flush. Now, if it's sticking out any, if you're using a revolver, it will hang up as it is going around on your receiver. So you don't want that to happen because they could cause a malfunction. So make sure they are flush. All right, guys, now we're at that point. Now what we're going to do, see if I can, okay. Okay, now here is where the rubber hits the road, as to say. You want to find a good manual, whatever you're comfortable with. You actually should have several manuals to decide on what you're going to load. Now, this has different bullet weights and different powder charges. As you can see here, here's your powders, your different charges. They have a suggested starting and a maximum grain. That is where you want to decide where you want to put your bullets. All right, now this is for a 245 grain style bullet. Okay, now here's where the tricky stuff comes. We are wanting to load this bullet here. Now this bullet comes from Kyle Lusk. It's what he calls his robin eggs. We are going to measure this, or weigh this bullet. Pretty hard for you guys to see what that is saying. There we go. That's a little easier. All right, so we're going to put it on our scale and weigh this. 259 grains. So let's say 260. We're comfortable with that. All right. So we're wanting to find a powder charge that will match that bullet weight. Now, in this manual that I have, it is limited to, wait a minute, wait just a hair. I've got another manual here, but that one was limited to 240 grains, 45 grains. Let's look in this manual. It's the all right. Let's see, 44 Magnum. See what we can come up with. I'm gaining on it, guys. I'm up to special. Here we go, Magnum. All right. Alrighty then. Good. This one covers some heavier bullets. There's a 265 grain. Let's look at that. This is the bullet style we're using. And this is a bullet style there. All right. So do we think there is the same bearing surface here as there? All right. Well, this is a 310 bullet. No, that's a little bit too much. There's a 300 grain bullet. Let's see what we got here. 255. No. That's the closest bullet we have. All right. So we are going to be using a Liant 2400. So what does it say for 2400? It says 18 grains to 19.8 grains. And this is our speed. All right. I think we're pretty safe with 18 grains with this style bullet. So this is 5 grains heavier. And how we're loading it is pretty close to this style bullet. So we come up with 18 grains. Now that's how I calculate how I use my powder. Everybody else is different. Just be careful when you're loading. Know your gun, know its limitations, and definitely know how it's going to come out. We don't want it to be tragic. All right. Now, okay, here comes up another point. All right, so... All right, guys, so we have a powder measure. You want to take your powder and you want to dump it into your powder measure reservoir, flask, or whatever you want to call it. Now, we have got our powder in there. Now, what I want to do is I want to measure out 18 grains of powder. So what I do is I've got this on a certain setting, and I dump my powder. All right, so our first dump of powder has got us at 20.1 grains of powder. And we know that's 2 grains too much. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put my powder back in my powder reservoir. All right. Now, I want to adjust this. This is an adjustment, and this is a lock nut. I'm going to unlock it, and I want to screw this in. I'm going to go one whole turn because that should be pretty close to 2 grains with the 2400. And then I want to snug up my locking nut. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump a charge, but then I'm going to put it back in my reservoir. And if anybody don't know, I think reservoir is French. Okay. Now, we get us another charge. put it on the scale. All right, so we're not quite at 18, but okay, there it went down to 17 and a half grains. But bear with me just a second. I'm going to put this back in the reservoir and dump me another charge because I want to make sure this is pretty consistent. Oh, well, boy, look at there, 17 and a half. And you know what, guys? A half a grain to start, it's not going to hurt me. So I think that might be a good starting point to this. All right, now I'm going to focus you back out. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take a funnel. Yeah, I know at the first of this I should have had all these primer thingies and whatnot, but the video is going right along with it. A funnel. Put it on top of your casing. Take your charge that you just measured. Put it in your casing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do that with the second one. Okay. That's 17.4. Now, for all you picky Petes out there, a scale is good to 0.1 grain intimate. A scale can only measure good enough for 0.1 grain difference. So I'm not going to worry about that. 0.1 grain. Now, since I've been here talking, I forgot which one, and okay, that's got powder in it. So I don't want to dump it in that one. So that's another thing that you want to do when you're reloading is not be distracted. Okay, so this one has no powder in it. And it does have a primer. All right, so I'll put my other charge in my other casing. And since these are the only two that we're loading, we can go ahead and put our scale, turn it off, because you don't want your battery to go down, and put it up. All right, okay. So I've disassembled the priming system and pulled out my shell holder. Now I put it back in my press ram. Now we're going to take out the expanding die. And we're going to put in the seating die. Now this thing's a little complicated. Most seating dies have a crimp. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, they can crimp. So depending on how far down your die body is how deep you can get a crimp. You don't want to do that when you first seat your bullet. So I've already got this set, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down my bullet seating stem. This adjusts the height of your bullet. And on most cast bullets, they have a cantilever. That's the groove right here, or a crimp groove. And what I want to do is I want to get that brass right to the top of this crimp groove. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my charged casing right here. I'm going to set it in the shell holder. I'm going to put the bullet on top. And you want to try and get it as square in the brass as you can in the casing. Because if you don't, it could cause a bulge or it could cause it to not set right. All right. Now I've got my stem down past where the bullet's going to be seating. And what I want to do is I want to go up slowly. Now this is how you adjust your bullet depth. Now look at there. I almost, sitting here talking to you guys, almost pushed it in too far. But I caught myself, and it is about midway into the crimp groove. All right, I just want just a hair. And there we go. I've got it right where I want it. And that's how you set the depth of your bullet. All right, now I'm going to screw out this, and now I'm going to put a crimp on it. Now that I've already set this, what you want to do is you want to adjust this body up and down until you get the desired crimp you want. Now with a slow burning powder like 2400, you want a real heavy roll crimp. That assures that your slow burning powder gets a consistent burn before pushing out the bullet. If the bullet gets pushed out before the powder starts burning, you're going to have unburnt powder. It's going to be a mess, and you're going to have inconsistent fire. You don't want that. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up and crimp it. You can feel it right there toward the bottom of your power stroke. You guys know what a power stroke is when you're pushing down on your lever and you can feel it tighten up and it goes right in. All right. Now, let's look at that crimp. Of course, I've used some traditional lubed bullets before this, and now I've got lube up in my die. I hate that. That's one reason why I went to powder coating. It's got a crimp on it. You can see where it's dug into the bullet. But I'm not happy with that. I think I can have it a little bit heavier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the die. Come on, camera, focus. There you go. And then I'm going to take the locking nut and go turn it to where it goes up the die. We're going to go about a quarter turn. Then we'll bring it back down and tighten the die into the press. All right. And we're going to put our, which is now a cartridge because it's fully loaded, and put it back in there. Yeah, now see, you can feel that when you get a whole bunch of tension on that could, oh, there it went. It wasn't this bad, but there's a lot of tension on there, guys, because it is pushing that brass into that lead bullet. Yeah, now that's a good crimp. A good roll crimp. You can see the lube out of the die. Okay, now, a lot of people suggest not doing this. I've done it all my life, but I'm starting to realize that maybe it's not the best thing to do. You can adjust your stem down to the round that you've already made and do it in one process of seating and crimping at one time. But if this crimping groove is not very deep, you will shave lead and you may buckle your brass. So a lot of people suggest not doing that, but go ahead and seat your bullet in the depth that you want it to be and then crimp. A lot of people don't even use the crimp in their seating die. They use a Lee factory crimp, which could be better. All right, let's go ahead and do the second one. Oh. Now, just for an example, I'm going to take the one that I loaded. I'm going to push it in. in there. Now the stems, the bullet seating stem is up. We're going to adjust that down where it matches the bullet. And I'm going to take just a little pressure off the die and then bring it down to match it again, because there's a little spring tension against that brass with your crimp. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like when you do it in one step, seating and crimping at the same time. Okay, that went a little smoother than I thought it would. All right, and then there, I don't know if I get enough light on, no, light ain't right. But anyway, there. See how that crimped? Now, actually, it did not shave any lead off. I'm happy. I'm surprised. But now that's how you do it in one step. Seat and crimp at the same time. All right. All right, guys. Yeah, okay, we're recording. I hope you found this informative and spot on. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video. Adios, guys.